All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want my subject today to be about on the podcast is, why do people really work out? And I'm going to give you my perspective on that. But I'm going to hit it right off the bat and tell you what I think one of the main reasons is regarding working out. And when I say working out, I mean working out in a gym, more or less. This isn't about people that are working out to become specialized in a certain sport. So that's a whole different thing, which I'll probably talk about as well. I'm talking about the average person out there working out in a gym, running, swimming, hiking, biking, weightlifting, all these different types of things. I think you get the picture. And I think the one thing people don't want to admit to is they're doing it to get attention. I don't know why. I think it's almost frowned upon if people say, hey, I'm looking for attention. Now, I get a lot of times when people are seeking attention and it's quite obvious that it gets a little annoying. But the reality is, and I think social media really exposed everyone, is we like attention. A lot of times I think when I was growing up in the older days, a lot of people were frowned upon again who were looking to get attention. The only ones who really would get a lot of, I guess, a pass would be actors or musicians, actresses, whatever the case may be. If you were a performer getting attention, for some reason you were loved, right? You were cherished. But then if you were the average Joe or somebody publicly just looking for attention, you were kind of frowned upon, I think, to a certain degree. That's at least my surroundings. And here's the thing, I'm sorry my voice is a little hoarse. I had a long month. We did a lot of traveling, and I had a wedding to go to and a bunch of other stuff. So, let me get some water there. So, what I want to get into today is regarding working out. And I think people, as far as them wanting to get results or why they truly do it. Most people, I believe, the first thing you have to do if you plan on working out is saying to yourself, I'm doing this to feel better, but just as importantly, a lot of times, look better. For some reason, when people say, I want to look better, a lot of times, they get nervous because I think they think it draws attention to their body or whatever the hell they're talking about. So they'll kind of bullshit and say, oh, no, I go to the gym because, I want to lose some weight or I want to gain some muscle or I just want to get in better shape. I want to run I want to run a mile in a certain time. I want to do this much on the elliptical. I want to go on a Stairmaster. I want to do this, and that. And the truth is you're doing it because you want to look better a lot of times. And you want people to look at you. You want to look better in clothing. And you want to feel better. There's no question about that. But I see a lot of people who work out that don't necessarily always feel better. So in that case, I would say a lot of people I know work out and drink and still party, have hangovers, all different ages. So I don't think necessarily they're always feeling better or they feel tired, but they do want to look better, and they don't want to admit that to themselves. So what I'm going to say today is, first of all, if you plan on working out, if you haven't before, just admit you want to look better to yourself. You may even want to admit it to others, and just literally say, I do this for this reason. So something... over the years, I used to kind of make fun of myself. I was obsessed with getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Again, I was caught between, I liked the image of being big and huge. I also wanted the image of being stronger than everyone else I knew for the most part. And of course, I ran across guys that were stronger than me. But for the most part, I was always striving to be the strongest. Now, when I was younger, I always played sports. And my mother was one of the first mothers to take me to every damn sporting thing going on, from soccer to Pop Warner. I even played tennis with Nick Bollettieri in Florida, his academy, which was amazing. I even played, floor hockey. I played baseball. I played softball. I played, what else did I play a lot? We played basketball. I played every organized sport. Actually, basketball may be the only one I didn't play truly organized. But every sport, I remember, I played it in an organized fashion. My mother was divorced, so we spent a lot of time doing different things regarding sports to fill the time up. My mother loved sports. For some reason, she was into yoga, and she just wanted me, I think, to be a man's man. The thing was, I was always the smallest player on each team, even though I did excel on a lot of teams, especially as I got older and went into wrestling And I also was boxing. I wasn't that good in boxing, even though my friend owns one of the best boxing gyms in Chicago. If you get a chance, I am going to throw a plug out there, GPS. Yes, so to make a long story short, as time went on, I didn't want people to know my insecurities. And I used to call it reverse anorexiism because no matter how big I got, I felt small. But as time went on, I had to finally realize that I was done fighting. I didn't want to box, wrestle, nothing. I just wanted to be big and strong. And it wasn't just about anything going down bad, that I can overpower someone or fight someone. Because you could get knocked out by anybody, I believe. You could be choked out by anybody. You just never know, okay? And I've been in enough beefs my whole life where I've been jumped by many people. I've bar fights, bouncers. Being raised in the nightclub bar industry, I can't even imagine how many jams I've been in. So I think to a certain degree I've seen a lot. And I've been through a lot, like an asshole. But put that aside, I also think besides people admitting that they want to look good or feel good, they're insecure. Sometimes I think insecurity is a good thing. I think everybody thinks it's a bad thing. But sometimes when you are insecure, it drives you to be a lot better at something that you may not feel secure or you're scared, right? I think that's where a lot of incredible athletes break through. And the others who are insecure, maybe it holds you back, right? It'd almost be like somebody who really wants to get a college education, I think to a certain degree, that really has to study constantly or really hard to maybe get a scholarship or take things to the next level. They may feel dumb, they may not feel as smart, maybe they study too much, but it gets them where they need to be. And then you have other people that really they take their brains or whatever you want to call it for granted. And they don't care, they don't study, before you know it, they didn't get into college or they didn't get to go where they wanted to do. They just don't have the hard work because they're kind of nonchalant. And they're almost too secure within their surroundings. So it's kind of like, I think Mike Tyson or a lot of fighters talk about, you're nervous, I think is what he talks, or like you have this, a lot of times, I don't care who you are, it may have not been Mike Tyson, but I'm just using it for an example, but a lot of people think as strong as you think sometimes people are and how confident, the truth is deep down inside, they're nervous, they're scared like the rest of us, because a lot of times they have a lot to lose. But in this case, being insecure, which was what I was, and I think sometimes I still am, because now I'm at the point where I'm going on 50 and I don't want to lose the body that I've worked so hard for my entire life. So I'm still kind of lifting heavy weights, and I still want to keep my arms a certain, size, neck, chest, my legs. And it may be time to start changing or evolving a little bit. The thing is, I've kind of stretched my skin out for so long. I think if I do that, I'm going to start sagging, which can happen to anyone who's had a lot of mass over the years. Let me get some more water. But it was funny, not long ago, there's a couple things that happened. One is I run into people all the time, and I used to be like 250 pounds. And then when I lost all my weight, so I'm like 200. So I lost 50 pounds. People thought I did steroids. I didn't. But for a long time, I was between 230 and probably 240, 245. Like I said, I've been up to 250. I've also been down to 190s. But for the most part, I was holding a lot of weight for 15 years, eating a lot. Then when I dropped down to 200, everybody thought I was sick. Which actually, when I dropped that weight, I never felt better. It was quite the opposite. But I did go through a transition there where every time you see somebody for years, they're like, oh my God, especially someone new, you're so thin. Are you sick? Did something happen? Then rumors start spinning around. Are you off steroids? Were you on growth hormone? All these stupid things, which wasn't the case at all. But it's a hard hit because you kind of have an image of yourself. I always felt small, but I knew how, that I didn't want to be called small again, I guess you could say, because as time goes on, I finally got big where I would be big enough where I was kind of confident in the way I looked, especially when you're wearing a 3-4X shirt and your arms are almost 20 inches and you're bench pressing 450 pounds for a few and squatting 500 pounds, really like it's nothing. You start to build a confidence. There's no denying that. But when I dropped down to 200 pounds, not only did I lose a lot of size, I lost a lot of strength, just naturally. Not actually at the beginning as much as you'd think. I was still very strong for just being an ordinary guy, but I definitely wasn't nearly as strong as I was then at that weight. And I'm definitely nowhere near that. I probably lost about 60% of my strength since then. which is just something that I think happened with age. And I wasn't the guy to say, oh my God, I'm getting old, I'm not going to be able to lift this weight. No, slowly but surely my weight just decreased because my joints, tendons, and my muscles just couldn't handle it. And that's the reality. But as time went on, like anything else, then people started to acknowledge my body for what it is now. So you meet tons of new people, and they only know you for how you look now. And I get a lot of compliments and things, which is very nice. And they're older people then say, even back, my mother and girlfriend or whatever, they had a surprise birthday party for me for my 50th. So I got to see some grade school friends, and they all thought I looked, great and everything. And they'll ask me, wow, what made you keep working out? What made you stick with it? And I goof around and I go, because I'm insecure. I'm afraid of the way I'm going to look a certain way, or like I expect to look a certain way. And it's not just for myself. I want people to perceive me in a certain way. So I goof around and say, yeah, I'm insecure. I'm still working out. And no one usually ever says that. Or I'll say, there's another one I always say, they're like, oh my God, what makes you keep working out? It's because I want to look the best I can within what I want to look like. So I don't want to be the guy who's shredded. I also don't want to be the mass guy anymore. But the truth is, be saying to people, it's all cosmetic now. I really do work out because, and I'm sorry, when I'm working out, I'm thinking of cosmetics. I'm sculpting my body. I call it Michelangeloing. And I don't think a lot of people want to acknowledge that's what you're doing in a gym a lot of times. And when I, again, talk about this, it's in a gym, a weightlifting gym, where people lift weights or do cardio or things in that nature, CrossFit, things like that. Now, again, you're pushing yourself to lift different weights. I'm not denying that. It could be heavier, more sets, more reps, whatever the case may be. But you have to acknowledge a lot of times what you're doing. And a lot of the reason you're in that gym is not only to push weight or do certain exercises, it's because you're expecting certain results, right? You want results. It's either to get you to look a certain way, have your body, or feel a certain way, look a certain way. You may want to fit in clothes that are either smaller than what you're wearing. As far as women, a lot of times that goes. You want to downsize. A lot of men may want to build muscle, so they want to grow. And I talk about all different ways on how to do that, actually, in my book, Wingman, and my Mastering Self-Confidence program, and how to program your brain. And that's what I'm kind of talking about now is if you just really start programming your brain, saying to yourself, and becoming very self-aware when working out, why am I truly doing this? Why am I truly doing this type of workout? Or am I getting the results that I want out of these workouts? Because I see tons of my friends who still work out, get very small results, if any at all, especially heading into middle age. I see a lot of people not losing weight when that's their goal. I see other people who want to gain mass, don't gain the mass, going to the gym 3-4 times a week. They could even be eating. Even the ones trying to lose weight, they could be dieting. I think a lot of that is because in your mind, you're almost fighting yourself. I think you just need to be honest immediately with yourself. If you're going to start working out or if you are working out, and saying to yourself again, this is my goal. If it's a woman, a lot of women now more than ever are talking about having better asses. We get it. You're going to have to figure out a workout that's going to give you that, and also realize a lot of times genetically you just may not have that, okay? But the truth is, you first got to say, you know what? I want a better ass, and I'm going to start paying attention to my ass. Same with a lot of dudes. If you want bigger arms, bigger back, bigger chest, or even women who want better legs, you have to focus in and say, listen, I genuinely want these to look amazing. I want them to get in better, not only better shape, but I want them to look great. In my opinion, and this is what I think has worked for me over the years, my brain, right, it controls your body, obviously. You tell your brain is telling your body constantly what it expects from it. If you're going into a gym and playing games going, I'm just here to, get a good workout and, see how it turns out for me. I'm going to try this workout. I'm going to do a little this, a little that, or you're doing too much of this, or I'm doing too much of that, and you're not getting the results you want, it's because you're not being honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, right? And don't play games, too, with weight. I talk about this all the time, with the scale. A lot of people if you're afraid to step on a scale, what the hell is wrong with you if you think about it as a joke? If you want to lose weight pay attention. I call it the 1 pound a week or 1 pound a month, where you try to lose 1 pound a week or one a month, and you're consistent with it. If you were afraid to get on the scale, basically you've been bullshitting yourself previously, your workouts, your eating, everything. Because to a certain degree, when I step on a scale, I almost know to the pound or two where I'm at. I just know it. That's what you should be. I don't get on a scale and go, holy shit, I gained 10 pounds? Well, I gained 10 pounds because I ate a lot of shit or I wasn't working out, right? I'm just saying, if you're afraid of getting on a scale to be too heavy, you obviously weren't disciplining yourself before to not prevent that. I'm not even going to get into that now. But again, you've got to be self-aware. And the more self-aware you are regarding what you want out of your body and your mind, because if your mind isn't set on certain things, and there's nothing wrong again with being, open-minded, but you do have to have some type of goal or some type of idea what you want to look like. And here's something else I've done over the years that's worked well for me. When I wanted to look a certain way, how do I say this? I had certain bodybuilders that I really loved growing up. Okay, I'm not going to start listing all of them, but I did. And I had certain athletes that I loved. It would be Mike Tyson, bodybuilding, Dorian Yates, let's say, Lee Haney, Franco Columbu when I was younger. And what I realized is I started to not want to look like them on a whole. What worked for me is picking certain areas of their bodies, or certain things they were doing physically, and that could be bench pressing, squatting. So Mike Mentzer had great legs. I wanted to have his legs. Dorian Yates, Lee Haney, I loved their back. Mike Tyson, I kind of dug the way his whole body frame looked like, the way he stood, and that's the body I almost ended up having. Truthfully, was Mike Tyson. I had a poster. I work out with it. I looked at it constantly from my teens all the way up into my 20s, and I almost formed my body into that. Did I end up with Lee Priest's legs? His are enormous, but I was fortunate enough to have really shredded big legs. They used to call them tree trunks. So I would pick and choose, and I think what people need to do is don't get caught up a lot of times too in saying, oh my God, I want to look like Halle Berry. Because most likely you do not have the genetics of, say, Halle Berry. And it could be a professional athlete as well. You kind of know where your genetics stand a little bit. So you might want to find somebody who has similar genetics that is in the shape that you want to get to, or something similar. So if you are, regardless if you're a man or woman, if you have extremely thin legs, most likely you are not going to look like Lou Ferrigno or somebody who's massive, right? But you may say, hey, you may see a swimmer, a gymnast, or somebody else that's got really great defined legs, even though they're not massive, and say, those are the legs I'm kind of looking for. And that could go for arms as well. You may see somebody, and I used to look at even gymnasts and go, wow, man, look at their biceps. They're great. What are they doing? And then I would do cable work, because I knew they were doing, a lot of men were doing some cable work and, things. I would kind of emulate that, and it would work for me. And it almost becomes like your body becomes a science experiment. I know that sounds crazy, but we all are an experiment to a certain degree. So if you take the time out to figure out your own body and be a little realistic with it. Now, again, those are just things I did. And I took an honest approach at that. A lot of times I didn't get close to say, I got a pretty decent back for a while, especially for someone not being on steroids. But if you put me up against Dorian Yates or Lee Haney, and I remember once going to see Dorian Yates at a show. Right before my daughter was born, my ex-wife got me tickets to a show in Orlando. I think it was the Tupperware Center, and they had a bodybuilding show, and Dorian Yates was the guest, and she surprised me, and we went there. I went there, and we were also going to see the movie, I think, Boogie Nights that night, maybe as well. Anyways, that's how far back this goes, about 22 years. Sorry, I had to get some more water. So, there was a long line to see Dorian. They were doing something, and I always wanted to meet Dorian, and I didn't get to see him, but I walked behind the glass, and I saw how wide he was. And I was really looking at this dude going, wow, how he looks as wide as a goddamn door. And then I saw my reflection in the glass, and I wasn't as wide as Dorian. He had a workout shirt, but I was looking, and I actually wasn't. I was like 250 at that time, and Dorian was probably maybe 280, but he was massive. Let's not get ridiculous. But I seen what I can form my body into the last 10 years, really, or no, actually, wait, I was 30. I want to say the last maybe 13, 14 years, if I think about it, really hardcore, how I conformed my body into being, and I'm not saying I'm even a miniature version of him because I was not shredded as him, but also I never took a lot of supplement. I never took any steroids, growth, or anything. But I was like kind of shocked that I was even in the ball game, I guess you could say, because I always felt like I looked like 100 pounds in my mind, and he was a monster, 300 pounds. But when I really sat there, I'm like, wow, I really sculpted my body to get something near where my goal was. And it was amazing to do and see. And I ended up leaving there, not meeting Dorian. We had to take off. But that was a very big learning lesson. And I met other professional bodybuilders, and I wasn't a bodybuilder. But I really kind of lifted and geared my life around just getting big and huge and looking similar to what they look like. And it was quite interesting what I turned my body into. And if I could do that, I think a lot of people have potential to turn their bodies into what they want to a certain degree. And again, you have to be realistic with your genetics. I have to be very clear with that a lot of times. Because no matter who you are, if you're 5'4" and you think you're going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger at 6'2" or whatever the hell he is, that's most likely not going to happen. That doesn't mean you can't look like him at your height or get great size or any of that. But the reality is, everyone's genetics are different. Everyone's workouts are most likely going to be different. And even if you emulated exact workouts of other people that are getting certain results, that may not give you the results that you want or that your body accepts, because you're just different creatures. You're just different, just a whole different person than that person. We eat differently, drink differently, sleep differently, have different, everything. So I don't know if you've ever even watched a lot of videos on people that worked out, say even with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the past, his films, Pumping Iron, or if you've watched even current films, you have bodybuilders that work out together. And a lot of times they do the same workouts for months on end. And I did that with my close friend for years. We each got two totally different results. I, for the most part, usually got a lot stronger. I got a lot thicker and heavier. But then my close friend that I worked out with for many, many years, he got more ripped up and he looked like a Greek god, or I looked like kind of a larger version again of Mike Tyson. I think we both were going after certain things, and we both kind of got what we wanted at that time. But we both had entirely different genetics. He was much taller than me. We both had really good backs. My legs were just much bigger than his. But he can like with pressing shoulders, he beat me every time. Curling, we'd go up to 185. He had better biceps than me. We both were really strong in our buys, but then my tries kind of dwarfed him, and my chest was just a lot stronger. But like we do chin-ups, he would destroy me. Then we would do another exercise, I'd destroy him, and we'd push each other. But my point was, we basically were doing the same workouts, and we ended up with completely different results. So just keep that in mind. But I just thought I would do a podcast on this, because I don't think a lot of people really are self-aware when they work out. And I'm even helping some friends now that are older that are trying to get back in the gym, and it's really hard. And I talk about this on my podcast and my YouTube channel. Really try and be very self-aware when it comes to working out and finding something you'd love to do. Because if you do not love it, or you don't at least like it a lot, you are most likely not going to stick with it. So a lot of times joining a gym, if a gym is not your thing, don't waste your money or time. You may just like hiking, surfing, I talk about it, swimming. You may like something, I don't know what you like. You may like playing volleyball. But if you do want to get jacked and get bigger, most likely you're going to have to lift some type of weights or do something in that nature. But if you're not, find something that works for you, and don't be afraid to keep testing new things. And a lot of times too, you may just go to a specific gym, or you may have been at a specific gym. You didn't like that gym. You may just want to try a bunch of different gyms. A lot of gyms I talk about, they give you 3-day passes. They'll give you two-week passes. Go around your neighborhood. I mainly go with LA Fitness because there's so many, but I love 24-Hour Fitness. Lifetime Fitness is great too. Crunch is cool. I don't do Planet Fitness necessarily, just not my thing. One of the reasons is they really don't have a pool or a jacuzzi. And do some have saunas? I think they do, but I think some don't. I can't remember. I've only been to one or two. So anyways, hopefully this helped you. But please, if you are, again, planning on working out and you are at the point where it's you're kind of nervous about why you want to work out or telling people why you want to work out because it's cosmetic reasons, you just want to look good, just accept it. It'd be very similar to if you wanted to get, say, Botox, a facelift, a nose job, whatever the case may be. It's kind of a similar premise. Now, would I go out and have liposuction done or other things related to that, butt implants, breast implants? I can't say. I didn't have to do that. So if you want to do those certain things and you feel comfortable doing those things, I don't find anything wrong with doing that, because I really believe a lot of how we feel is really how we look. And a lot of people want to pretend that's not true. They're always like, no, it starts with the inside and then it's the out. A lot of times, let's face it, if we look at ourselves a lot of times in the mirror, and we know other people are looking at us. And the truth is, we know we're judging other people the same way we're being judged. We're not fools. And if you are feeling, like you want to change or you want to feel better about yourself, a lot of times it does start with the exterior. And I talk about that in my Mastering Self-Confidence. A lot of guys have problems with their identity. And all they have to do is maybe just change some things on the exterior, and they'd be shocked at how they would start feeling inside. And also, don't get me wrong, feeling great inside is also, obviously the number one priority. If you don't feel good, that's nothing's worse than that. But the truth is, a lot of times the way we look dictates a lot on how we feel. So I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, you might want to check out my richcelenza.com website. I got a lot of different things on there. You could find my books, my YouTube channel, which I go through a lot of different things on there regarding fitness. I visit different gyms all over North America, my favorite Italian restaurants, just different places I go to that I like. And what else? I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram as well. And please leave a comment. Check out my stuff, and thanks for listening to my podcast. And if you're traveling, safe travels, and get to the gym. Get your ass to the gym if you're working out. I'm just kidding. But don't sell yourself short. You have an amazing amount of potential, and a lot of times you don't even realize how amazing your genetics are, because sometimes a lot of people just neglected them or never did anything with them. So you think you are who you are, kind of just the way you are. I don't even know how to say that correctly, but I was always known, and a lot of my family members were all just very skinny, and I think I would have been extremely skinny if I didn't start working out. Working out is something I wanted to do, but I would have never known my potential unless I really stuck with it and I was consistent and did it year after year after year. And a lot of my family members who have almost identical genetics, they're always amazed at how strong and all the things I can do physically. But I'm like, we're almost identical. They just never want to put the time or work into it. All right. Take care, and if you're traveling again, safe travels.